Down to the waves then, dressed in the web of their chainmail and war shirts, the young men marched, in high spirits. The coast guard spied them, Thane setting forth the same as before. His salute this time from the top of the cliff was far from unmannerly. He galloped to meet them, and as they took ship in their shining gear, he said how welcome they would be in Geatland. Then the broad hull was beached on the sand to be cargoed with treasure, horses, and war gear. The curved prow motioned, the mast stood high, above Hrothgar's riches in the loaded hold. The guard who had watched the boat was given a sword with gold fittings, and in future days that present would make him a respected man at his place on the mead bench. Then the keel plunged and shook in the sea, and they sailed from Denmark. Right away the mast was rigged with its sea shawl. Sail ropes were tightened, timbers drummed, and stiff winds kept the wave crosser skimming ahead. As she heaved forward, her foamy neck was fleet and buoyant, a lapped prow loping over currents, until finally the Geats caught sight of coastline and familiar cliffs. The keel reared up, wind lifted it home, it hit on the land. The harbour guard came hurrying out to the rolling water. He had watched the offing, long and hard on the lookout for those friends. With the anchor cables, he moored their craft right where it had beached, in case a backwash might catch the hull and carry it away. Then he ordered the prince's treasure trove to be carried ashore. It was a short step from there to where Hrethild's son and heir, Hygelac, the gold giver, makes his home on a secure cliff, in the company of retainers. The building was magnificent, the king majestic, ensconced in his hall, and although Hygd his queen was young, a few short years at court, her mind was thoughtful and her manners sure. Hereth's daughter behaved generously and stinted nothing when she distributed bounty to the Geats. Great Queen Modthrith perpetrated terrible wrongs. If any retainer ever made bold to look in her face, if an eye not her lord stared at her directly during daylight, the outcome was sealed. He was kept bound, in hand-tightened shackles, racked, tortured, until doom was pronounced. Death by the sword. Slash of blade, blood gush, and death qualms in an evil display. Even a queen outstanding in beauty must not overstep like that. A queen should weave peace, not punish the innocent with loss of life for imagined insults. But Hemming's kinsman put a halt to her ways, and drinkers round the table had another tale. She was less of a bane to people's lives, less cruel-minded after she was married to the brave Offa, a bride arrayed in her gold finery, given away by a caring father, ferried to her young prince over dim seas. In days to come, she would grace the throne and grow famous for her good deeds and conduct of life, her high devotion to the hero king, who was the best king, it has been said, between the two seas or anywhere else on the face of the earth. Offa was honored far and wide for his generous ways, his fighting spirit, and his far-seeing defense of his homeland. From him there sprung Eomer, Garmund's grandson, kinsman of Hemming, his warrior's mainstay and master of the field. Heroic Beowulf and his band of men crossed the wide strand, striding along the sandy foreshore. The sun shone. The world's candle warmed them from the south as they hastened to where, as they had heard, the young king, Ongenthau's killer, and his people's protector, was dispensing rings inside his barn. Beowulf's return was reported to Hygelac as soon as possible. News that the captain was now in the enclosure, his battle brother back from the fray alive and well, walking to the hall. Room was quickly made on the king's orders, and the troops filed across the cleared floor. After Hygelac had offered greetings to his royal thane in lofty speech, he and his kinsman, that hale survivor, sat face to face. Hereth's daughter moved about with the mead jug in her hand, taking care of the company, filling the cups that warriors held out. Then Hygelac began to put courteous questions to his old comrade in the high hall. He hankered to know every tale the sea Geats had to tell. How did you fare on your foreign voyage, dear Beowulf, when you abruptly decided to sail across the salt water and fight at Hjorot? Did you help Hrothgar much in the end? Could you ease the prince of his well-known troubles? Your undertaking cast my spirits down. I dreaded the outcome of your expedition and pleaded with you long and hard to leave the killer be. Let the South Danes settle their own blood feud with Grendel. So God be thanked, I am granted this sight of you, safe and sound. Beowulf, son of Ecgtheow, spoke. What happened, Lord Hygelac, is hardly a secret any more among men in this world. Myself and Grendel came to grips on the very spot where he visited destruction on the victory shieldings and violated life and limb, losses I avenged. So no earthly offspring of Grendel's need ever boast of that bout before dawn, no matter how long the last of his evil family survives. When I first landed, I hastened to the ring hall and saluted Hrothgar. Once he discovered why I had come, the son of Halfdane sent me immediately to sit with his own sons on the bench. It was a happy gathering. In my whole life, I have never seen mead enjoyed more in any hall on earth. Sometimes the queen herself appeared, peace pledge between nations, to hearten the young ones and hand out a talk to a warrior, then take her place. Sometimes Hrothgar's daughter distributed ale to older ranks in order on the benches. I heard the company call her Freya Waru, as she made her rounds, presenting men with the gem-studded bowl, young bride-to-be, to the gracious Ingeld in her gold-trimmed attire. The friend of the shieldings favors her betrothal. The guardian of the kinsman sees good in it, and hopes this woman will heal old wounds and grievous feuds. But generally the spear is prompt to retaliate when a prince is killed, no matter how admirable the bride may be. Think how the Heathobards will be bound to feel, their Lord Ingeld and his loyal thanes, when he walks in with that woman to the feast. Danes are at the table being entertained, honored guests in glittering regalia, burnished ring mail that was their host's birthright, looted when the Heathobards could no longer wield their weapons in the shield clash, when they went down with their beloved comrades and forfeited their lives. Then an old spearman will speak while they are drinking, having glimpsed some heirloom that brings alive memories of the massacre. His mood will darken, and heart-stricken in the stress of his emotion, he will begin to test a young man's temper and stir up trouble, starting like this. Now, my friend, don't you recognize your father's sword, his favorite weapon, the one he wore when he went out in his war mask to face the Danes on that final day? After Weathergeld died and his men were doomed, the shieldings quickly claimed the field. And now here's a son of one or another of those same killers coming through our hall, overbearing us, mouthing boasts and rigged in armor that by right is yours. And so he keeps on, recalling and accusing, working things up with bitter words until one of the lady's retainers lies spattered in blood, split open on his father's account. The killer knows the lie of the land and escapes with his life. Then on both sides the oath-bound lords will break the peace. A passionate hate will build up in Ingeld, and love for his bride will falter in him as the feud rankles. I therefore suspect the good faith of the Heathobards, the truth of their friendship, and the trustworthiness of their alliance with the Danes. But now, my lord, I shall carry on with my account of Grendel, the whole story of everything that happened in the hand-to-hand fight. After Heaven's gem had gone mildly to earth, that maddened spirit, the terror of those twilights, came to attack us where we stood guard, still safe inside the hall. There deadly violence came down on Hansio, and he lay as fate ordained, the first to perish, rigged out for the combat. A comrade from our ranks had come to grief in Grendel's maw. He ate up the entire body. There was blood on his teeth. He was bloated and furious, all roused up, yet still unready to leave the hall empty-handed. Renowned for his might, he matched himself against me, wildly reaching. He had this roomy pouch, a strange accoutrement, intricately strung, and hung at the ready a rare patchwork of devilishly fitted dragon skins. I had done him no wrong, yet the raging demon wanted to cram me and many other into this bag. But it was not to be. Once I got to my feet in a blind fury, it would take too long to tell how I repaid the terror of the land for every life he took, and so won credit for you, my king, and for all your people. And although he got away to enjoy life's sweetness for a while longer, his right hand stayed behind him in Heorot, evidence of his miserable overthrow as he dived into murk on the mere bottom. I got lavish rewards from the Lord of the Danes for my part in the battle, beaten gold, and much else once morning came, and we took our places at the banquet hall. There was singing and excitement. An old reciter, a carrier of stories, recalled the early days. At times, some hero made the timbered harp tremble with sweetness, or related true and tragic happenings. At times, the king gave the proper turn to some fantastic tale, or a battle-scarred veteran bowed with age would begin to remember the martial deeds of his youth and prime, and be overcome as the past welled up in his wintry heart. We were happy there the whole day long and enjoyed our time until another night descended upon us. Then, suddenly, the vehement mother avenged her son and wreaked destruction. Death had robbed her, Geats had slain Grendel, so his ghastly dam struck back and with barefaced defiance laid a man low. Thus life departed from the sage Aesir, an elder wise in counsel. But afterwards, on the morning following, the Danes could not burn the dead body, nor lay the remains of the man they loved on his funeral pyre. She had fled with the corpse, and taken refuge beneath torrents on the mountain. It was a hard blow for Hrothgar to bear, harder than any he had undergone before. And so the heartsore king beseeched me in your royal name to take my chances under water, to win glory and prove my worth. He promised me rewards. Hence, as is well known, I went to my encounter with the terror-monger at the bottom of the tarn. For a while it was hand to hand between us, then blood went curling along the currents, and I beheaded Grendel's mother in the hall with a mighty sword. I barely managed to escape with my life, my time had not yet come. But half Dane's heir, the shelter of those earls, again endowed me with gifts in abundance. Thus the king acted with due custom. I was paid and recompensed completely, given full measure and the freedom to choose from Hrothgar's treasures by Hrothgar himself. These, King Hygelac, I am happy to present to you as gifts. It is still upon your grace that all favor depends. I have few kinsmen who are close, my king, except for your kind self. Then he ordered the boar-framed standard to be brought, the battle-topping helmet, the mail shirt, grey as hoarfrost, and the precious war sword, and proceeded with his speech. When Hrothgar presented this war gear to me, he instructed me, my lord, to give you some account of why it signifies his special favor. He said it had belonged to his older brother, King Hrothgar, who had long kept it, but that Hrothgar had never bequeathed it to his son Hrothgar, that worthy scion, loyal as he was. Enjoy it well.
That was a nice little recap of the story so far. Thank you, Beowulf. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you really are enjoying this series, consider becoming a Patreon supporter. It's as little as $1 a month to get your own name up here with all of these amazing people. And while we're on the subject, I want to give a particular thank you to Andre D, Break System BSC, Michael Fattori, Zachary Snowden-Smith, and Zana Zira. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for being you.
Great Queen Modrith.
Would you like to accompany me to the malt shop today, Jennifer?